Come to Remora TC to trade like a shark and not get eaten by one. Let's school together to protect and grow our money. Hi everybody, it is Wednesday, May 21st. Since this past Sunday, and the prediction on that day was the beginning of bearish signals. So let's see how the middle of this week things have been shaping up. We're going to review the same set of tickers. Let's start off with the SPY. You can see it here. What you can see, and it's very obvious, is the red candle from today. We had the doji candle on Tuesday, but then today was the beginning of some selling. But what I don't see is I don't see any bearish divergence that caused this selling. I think this is just price action by the sharks and whales. So my prediction remains unchanged for the SPY. I'm going to make the annotation here. Move the prediction candle up this way. What I think is going to happen is price is going to sell down, perhaps enter the gap here, and then hit the 200-day moving average. It may get down there, but really, I think there's still upside for it. Not upside from the standpoint of taking a trade long, but more of let's be watchful because the all-time highs is only up here. It's only about a 5% move. And from the 200-day, let's make that annotation real quick. From the 200-day, it is about a 6% move from the 200-day up to the all-time highs. I really think all-time highs will be tested again before a lower move overall for the SPY. Switching to the weekly, you can see that the price action all in all these green candles here was just price action with no bullish momentum. Whereas here, there's plenty of bearish indication here. The sharks told one another that they're going to sell, and boom, the selling took place. But all of this price action going back up to this 590 range didn't happen with bullish indication. There was no conviction by the sharks and whales. So because of that, my thesis remains the same. Overall, lower movement for the SPY, but perhaps not in the near term. We will likely retest the all-time highs up here. So we'll go like that. And maybe, here, let me pull this down here. So perhaps down here, all the way up to retest all-time highs, and then the sell down further, okay? Overall, it'll be lower. But right now, let's just price action with no conviction. Let's switch to the triple Qs, the tech sector. The tech sector on Sunday, this past Sunday, I said likely retest all-time highs here, which would have been about a 4% move upward. We can see that it hasn't reached there yet. I even said that up here is resistance. My thesis, similar to the SPY, is really it's just price movement without any conviction. Perhaps for the triple Qs, it'll come down and use the top edge of the gap as support, only to come up and retest all-time highs before lower prices overall. Okay, and fill the gap, and then who knows, after that, it could be much lower. Okay, I'll just kind of leave it like that for now. That's the triple Qs. Let's switch to the FTSE. Probably very much the same. Okay, well, the behavior here is a little bit different, in fact. Correction. I thought that the price movement would already head down towards the lower purple trend line, but in fact, the movement was upward, which is kind of tricky. I gotta say, this one didn't behave as I expected. As compared with the triple Qs and the SPY, the FTSE already showed that the bearish indication took place. The sharks already signaled one another to go lower, but they haven't yet. So Let's see. I still think that this is resistance up here. Let's switch it to a red. And lower prices will come. So let's make a correction. Again, this is not a time to go long. We're right in the middle of this price point trend line and this trend line as well. Let's just wait until you get to the trend line resistance up here before joining the sharks, perhaps on a selling movement. That is the FTSE. Now with gold miners, GDX, this one has been behaving fairly well as per my prediction this past Sunday. Now I predicted the movement up here to fill the gap with this 490, this $50 range as resistance. So it's doing that. You can see that it's on Sunday it was about right here, Sunday. This was the Friday here, Friday candle. And I said likely prices would come up, fill the gap, use this as resistance. Now, one thing I didn't note, which I failed to see until yesterday, was that my prediction was based on how I felt price action would be, but in fact there was bullishness, and I missed it. At which time one of you would have said, hey, you missed the bullishness because it was there, and I'll show you. So on this candle here, okay, let's say this is a low. The low here is 45.51. This is a further low over here, 45.41. So there's the bullishness right there. So I indicated it with the green lines here. So I missed it. You should have told me. I can't see everything, okay? But my prediction was right. The gap fill, so there it is. This might be a good entry short if we get up here. So I'll give it maybe a little wiggle room, get closer to the $50 range. They may poke it up a little bit, but it's further low prices. And my annotations, I'm not changing them. They're the same. If anything, we've already seen this play out. So I'll just kind of, how about I just move it over just a smidge. Okay, so go up, hit that, and then the sell, likely the sharks will tell one another, maybe in this spot to sell. Well, we'll take a look. But really, this is objective short. I'll just give it a little bit of wiggle room before I consider jumping in. On the opposite side of gold, the Bitcoin play, MicroStrategy, the prediction was lower prices based on this bearish divergence here. That appeared on 13 May, so 7 days ago. And you can see that it's been lower prices, fine. I did indicate that I was hesitant for us to make a legitimate call for either direction. With an 18% upside to where we were on Sunday. Sunday was, Sunday was this doji candle practically. And you can see on Monday, there was some upward price movement, but not with a lot of conviction. Look at the volume down here. So perhaps where we are now, really this 17% move up falls out of play. I think the beginning of more selling on MicroStrategy is in play. Bearishness there. These past 2 days was an attempt to come above this price point here, right? Think of it as a retest. Actually, let me switch to the hourly. Make a quick annotation real quick. Let's take a look. Hourly candles. Hourly candles, you can see from here to here, some lower momentum. Fine, we saw that on the daily as well. And let's just look at how, let's just draw this real quick. I'm going to put the peak here and then connect it across like that. All right, so this is the hourly. It's not, so today, look at this. Yesterday and today. So today is, so this is today's candle. So this green candle So the open was here on the red candle. Let's zoom in. Sorry about that. So here's the open on the red candle. Second hour, they bought it up to attempt to break up above this quasi resistance and failed, and then subsequent selling. So the way this will play out on the hourly would go, you'd go like this down to here. Okay, and I'll make this a little bit thicker so you can see it just from a annotation standpoint. Then what we do is we duplicate it, right? Duplicate a clone. I'm going to move the clone over, excuse me. So the top part of the candle, top part of this, it's kind of like that. Okay. That's from an hourly perspective. They might gap it up a little bit tomorrow. Let's say they gap it up a little bit like this. All right, so that'll take us to about this 383. Let's switch to the daily chart. Where does that put us? That puts us a bit of a gap fill here. So we'll see. My thesis is unchanged. Lower prices for MicroStrategy. All right. So I'll keep these arrows there. They're the same. No change. If anything, I'll get rid of this one. There. All right. So that's a little bit of a cleanup of it. I still feel the 200 days in play, as in that would be a target. Okay. Let's switch to Nike. This one, if you've been following it, it's been behaving mostly as I anticipated. On Sunday, I was hoping that the gap fill that had started would continue to hit this part of the trend line for resistance, at which point I would take profit. That's what I wrote up here, that my target is this resistance zone, and Nike didn't do that today. So today's price action, I wouldn't say it's with conviction. I'm just saying that it's more just price action behavior by the sharks. It's, it created a gap down here. So let's just indicate it here. So from here, right, there's some gap to fill still, because this one here, I'll just make it, let's just change the color just for a moment. We'll make it purple. So this purple one, started over here in this area, right? When price gap down on, what day is this? This is April 3rd. When price gap down, it gapped all the way down to here. Okay, so Nike went down like this. Since then, you can see that the day's price action took it all the way up to this spot, which is April 9th, right up here. So you can move this up like this. I'm just helping you understand how to annotate with your gap, with dealing with gaps. And then you can see as price kept moving up, I could have, just so that the chart looks cleaner, move this up to show that price has filled the gap in many instances, okay? But I left it here because I wanted to show that the gap came from back in this zone. So for now, because we are many weeks, many months past the start of the gap here, I'm going to slide this over and just let us look at the gaps that exist at this moment, okay? So we have a gap down here, fine, it's not huge. Nike moves with a lot of gaps, so you kind of have to know your market. This is one market. This is the Nike stock and its behavior. So you can see through its history, it gaps. So you have to make a judgment call, right? There's gaps everywhere, okay? It's a gappy ticker. Because of that, you have to think of it as manipulated by the sharks. Knowing that, you also have to decide how big of a gap do you annotate. So back when it gapped hugely here, then sure, right? This move from this date down was 12%. That's why we annotated it. Where we are now, there aren't that many gaps. I mean, this one is a small one. It may come down tomorrow and the next day. It may come down, fill this gap. my prediction remains that Nike will continue to move up, and I intend to exit my long position when it comes up to this, anywhere along this trend line. To me, that's resistance. And I'll wait for the price to behave a certain way, for them to move prices around to make people nervous and get out of their open positions. When price gets above this trend line and uses the trend line as support, I will re-enter, because I anticipate that Nike will come up here and fill this gap up here. Okay, so that's my plan for Nike. Let's switch to Microsoft. Microsoft, okay. On Sunday, I talked about this rising channel, and I made the annotation with these two lines here. You could see that I said on the hourly, so this thin red line here is an hourly divergence indication. Let me switch to the hourly to show you. On Sunday, if you watch that video, I switched to the hourly and I said, let's take a look at behavior for Microsoft on the hourly. And you can see right here that there is bearish divergence. The RSI is showing it. Just for giggles, I'm going to extend these lines just so that it's a little bit easier to track, right? I'll extend this one, continue to extend it there. And this one, I'll pull it a little bit like that. All right, so you can see that where we are now on the hourly, Microsoft indeed has bearish divergence. Okay, I'll continue the line like there. And then you can also see that it has broken this lower support, trend line support. Let's zoom in. It broke the trend line support on this day, okay? Not with a lot of conviction, but it broke it. It attempted, oh, what day is this? Sorry, these are the hourly candles. Let's switch. Okay, so at lunchtime, New York, you can see that price broke lower trend line and attempted throughout the rest of today to regain support of this trend line. Again, this is the hourly, so I'm not putting a lot of, I'm not using the hourly to predict. I'm using hourly to help inform whether the action here on the daily is a convincing action by the sharks and whales. And I would say, no, this is not a bullish signal. So my prediction remains the same for Microsoft. You can see how I drew this blue line on Sunday, that, yeah, lower prices, so it's coming. And it'll likely hit the 200. Now, the 200, the angle of the 200 has changed. You see how the 200 goes like this? So I'm going to re-annotate my 200 because the 200 has changed. So 200 goes maybe like that. Okay. I'm an artist. All right. So it'll come down, hit the 200. So that's like that. Come down, hit the 200. And I'll even annotate what I think will happen. It'll hit the 200, bounce, probably come up, hit this trend line again before it does another attempted gap fill. Okay, gap fill is yeah, I mean, there's a long way down for the gap fill. So that's about, from where it is up here, about 13% down to the gap fill. Okay, all right, that's Microsoft. Let's switch to everybody's favorite semiconductor, NVDA. On Sunday, my annotations were lower prices, likely bounce off the 200, and then lower prices. Well, you can see that on Sunday, the divergence appeared, where price closed on Friday. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more just to get some fidelity here. So I'm looking at this green candle, which is Wednesday, and then I want us to compare this green candle, which is Monday. zoom in some more, you can see that the Monday top of the candle is higher than the Wednesday. And you can also see the divergence right there, okay, the opposite direction. So to me, that's a sell signal by the sharks. They just haven't all circled around the prey yet, but they're circling. And you can also see, look at this candle here. This candle, today's candle, has this long wick. To me, this is, yeah, it contributes to my thesis that further low prices, likely down to hit the 200-day here, bounce off the zone of support of 125, okay? Yeah, but lower. Okay, so lower for NVDA. Let's switch to Elon's company, Tesla. Okay, Tesla's behaving as I predicted. I mean, the RSI action and the way that I trade based on momentum with the indications by the shark, when it takes place, when the indication is there, it's pretty money. Not all the time, but it's pretty money. So you can see, I said there would be resistance here. The indication came on Monday, the end of Friday there. You can see it. Sharks are beginning to sell. If anything, I'm going to move this down lower because it's going to continue to come down, hit the 200-day, which also fills the gap, and likely even further. So I'll just annotate it. Fill the gap here, come up, likely hit the top of the gap again. They always do that, and then further low prices. Okay, and overall, there's a big gap down here. What goes all the way back to April, end of April. So I'm going to move this green line down further. And that green line to me it supports my thesis back here. That there's a lot of bullish momentum. Even though there's a little bit of bearish momentum here, it will bring prices down. But really, the longer range move, there's so much more bullish momentum. See the length of this? How long price built up the energy to move? So I think this built up of energy hasn't yet been played out. Right now, this movement here to the downside based on the RSI is just a momentary downside. That's why I put this green here, because I want to take a long, but I don't want to take a long up here. I don't want to get it for a bad price. I'm cheap like that. I want to wait until price comes to where I want to buy it. Okay? I don't want to buy this Louis Vuitton bag for, $3,000. I want to wait until it's on sale for $1,500. Okay, that's a joke because I don't do those things. Okay, but anyway, I want to get it down here. That's another 20% lower, and then take advantage of this momentum to continue to go upwards. All right, that's my play for Tesla. That's my plan. And then the last ticker for tonight is Palantir. Okay, Palantir. This one, again, I'm being cheap. I said I wanted to get a good entry. My entry point was a retest of all-time highs up here, and where I indicated this upper resistance. See the red there on the purple trend line? Now, you can see the price action has come back down here further. Oh, so my entry, let me rephrase so that folks who are watching this video for the first time, or my video for the first time, understand. When I have this red indication here, that's resistance. So my objective trade here is a short, because the sharks have indicated for Palantir all throughout 2025 is that it's lower prices. So I just wanted to wait till price got up here. On Sunday, let's say on Friday it was here, right, which is about 130. I really wanted price to come up further so I can get a better entry. But you can see that since Friday, price has been lower. It's come down here to 120. I don't think it's done moving upward yet. So if it can come back up, okay, so now I'm having to rethink. I don't think this is the full selling yet. It's not the sharks, the conviction that shows the volume candles down here spiking up. It's not. So I think prices will still continue to move upward. I'm hoping it moves upward because I want to take a short up here. Okay, so closer to the purple trend line before prices move further. Okay, for the gap fill down here, I really want to see the gap fill because as I annotated on Sunday, if the entry is up here, moving all the way down, that's a 30% gain, 30% trade with the 200-day down here. So, yeah, I'll move this over just to show. So that's about a 10% move for Palantir, and Palantir moves wildly in a day. It gaps and moves around a lot. So 10% for Palantir isn't all that unusual. Okay. Yeah, I'm not one to chase price. I don't like to chase price. The main point is we take short trades and long trades based on what the sharks tell us, based on their indication, how they circle, how they tell one another it's time to sell or a time to buy. Once we see that in the RSI, then we position, but we position with the desire to take price entry at a nice support or resistance line. So that's why we wait. Even though the sharks may be starting their move, we wait. Okay, that's how I do my trading, and hope that you can learn from it and are successful. And you can tell me, hey, a good call or bad call, because maybe you saw something different. Anyway, that's Palantir. Those are the tickers for Wednesday. I hope that you guys got value out of this video. Please like and subscribe, click the notification bell, send this to your friends and family. And as always, good luck with your trades.